Today, I'm going to show you how to make diced tomatoes. It is the perfect canned thing to pull out for all of your chilies, soups, and stews. So come along and I'll show you how to can it. First, you just need to go pick all your tomatoes. The variety doesn't matter. You can use any kind of tomato for this. The process of prepping and canning diced tomatoes is really easy and so fast that I'm going to go ahead and get everything ready first. I'm going to sterilize my jars by rinsing them off and then putting them in the oven wet, baking them at 250 for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to sterilize my lids by putting them in a small pot of water. Bring that to a boil. Once it boils, you can shut it off. They're ready to go. And here's my last three things. I've got my cutting board out, I've got a big pot of water that I'm bringing to a boil, and then I've got my ice bath ready, which is just a big bowl of water and ice. Okay, let's get started. First, we gotta rinse off all these tomatoes. Okay, they are all rinsed off. Now we're just going to cut the tops off. Just like that. And then next, you're just going to cut an X at the bottom, and that's going to help peel the skin when we blanch them. You'll see that in a second. Now we are going to do what's called blanching and ice bathing, and this is the really quick method to remove those skins without cooking the tomatoes. So you'll take your tomatoes, you'll put them into the boiling water for 1 minute, and then you will immediately take them out and get them into the ice bath. And that is enough to cook the tomato to make the skins wrinkly, to pull them off real easily. But by putting it in the ice bath, it stops the cooking process so you don't actually cook the tomato and make it mush. That way you can still dice it up afterwards. See how you can actually see the skins coming off the tomatoes? You're done. Now pull them out with your slotted spoon and into the ice bath. And then look at how easy these skins come off. See that? Perfect. But as you can tell, the tomato is not mushy, so we can still dice it up and it'll hold its shape. If the skins being on tomatoes in your food doesn't bother you, you can completely skip this step and just dice them up and put them directly into your jars. I usually do it that way because I prefer the skin on my tomatoes, but I know most people don't, so I always can some like this as well for when we have company over. And be careful when you're doing this, make sure you watch it. Sometimes it doesn't take a full minute. Sometimes it only takes 15 to 30 seconds. So just keep an eye on those tomatoes. If you cook them too long, they will definitely turn mushy, which is okay if you're making like tomato sauce or something, but if you want to dice it up and you want it to hold its shape for like stewed tomatoes or diced tomatoes, then you definitely don't want to cook them too long. And we're done. So I've got all of my jars out, and I've also got my big pot of water here coming to a boil so we can water bath can them when we're done. So now all you're going to do is dice them up. You can do little chunks, which is what I'm doing, or bigger chunks. It doesn't matter. Dice them up whatever size you want and pack them all the way into your jars, leaving an inch of headspace. Now I want to explain something real quick. See how this one has a lot of juice in it and no air bubbles, and see how these are full of air? That is because once you fill the jars, you want to press down with your hands. See that? So that you are compressing the tomatoes and the juice together to fill it. See that? You can also stick a knife in if you need to help wiggle them around and get those air bubbles out. But anyway, you're going to push down like that, and then you'll add a little bit more tomatoes to make sure you have that inch of headspace. And we're done. Look at how pretty that is. Now we're going to add our salt. These are pints, so I'm going to do a half a teaspoon. If you're doing quarts, it's going to be a full teaspoon. Okay, the salt is in. Now this is where you would add either citric acid or lemon juice to bring down that acidity. So if you're doing citric acid, your quarts is going to be a half a teaspoon, a pint is going to be a quarter teaspoon. If you want to use lemon juice instead of citric acid, a quart's going to get 2 tablespoons and a pint's going to get 1 tablespoon. But I'm going to be honest with you, I do not add lemon juice or citric acid to any of my tomato products. It's just my preference. My family for generations, just like a lot of families, has never done that. That's more of a newer recommendation. I think that started in like the 1990s. Prior to that, they never did that. Anyway, so I do not add that. But if you are not comfortable with that and you want to follow USDA recommendations, no problem, put in either the lemon juice or the citric acid. Now let's wipe those rims with the boiling water from here. Then we'll add our lids and our bands and we're ready to can. Pints are gonna water bath can for 35 minutes, quarts is gonna be 40, and just a reminder, if you put your jars in and it stops boiling, make sure that water comes back to a boil before you start that timer. Just like that. And yes, I have 10 jars in here. A big canner like this holds 9 pints. Obviously I have 10, so I just set it on its side in there. You can do that, it works just fine. And timer's up, so I'm getting them all out. And that's it. See how easy that is? And look at how beautiful these cans of diced tomatoes are. They're so pretty. And they taste so much better, and they're so much better for you than any of the canned alternatives that you can get from the store. And I just wanted to add that as they cool, you'll see that it separates and the tomato juice settles to the bottom. That is completely normal. Also, I canned these with my 4 jars lids. I really love these lids. They work so well. So I'll have a link to those in the description if you want it. Otherwise, let me know if you have any questions. Happy homesteading.